And we're back for our daily college basketball best bets here for Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. This is our best bets for Thanksgiving Day, November 27th. Yesterday, kind of a weird day. Again, 2-3. It sucked. Whatever. Utah, I don't want to associate with Utah basketball anymore after the last 2 days, so I'm just going to not talk about that. UIC screwed us to start the day, and then I didn't think Zaga was going to just get demolished like that. Now, we did hit on two middle of the day games. How about Fresno State going on a 25-2 run to kick off the second half to dominate the Pepperdine Waves? That was incredible. I thought it was a lost cause in that first half, I'm not going to lie. And then Fresno State just could not miss. 11 straight hit shots in the second half? Unbelievable stuff. And then how about that Sam Houston-Idaho State game? If you watched that game, that was the most rigged basketball game I've ever watched. We came out with it. Sam Houston still covered 2.5. They won by 3. Guys, the referees had to have bet on Idaho State. I don't want to accuse anybody here. Watch that game. Idaho State does not hit a single field goal for 5 minutes to close the game. From 5 minutes onwards, they don't hit a single field goal. And yet they were still winning for most of the last 5 minutes. It was like tie. It was a tie game with 5 minutes to go. Idaho State is trading back and forth with Sam Houston because they're just hitting free throws. They had shot 41 free throws, Idaho State did. That was the most rigged basketball game I've ever seen. Last 8 possessions, every single time. Free throws, free throws, free throws, free throws, free throws. Shout out to Sam Houston for overcoming that. What a victory for the Bearcats. Let's get back in the positive, though, officially today after those 2 money line winners yesterday. I guess the -2.5 winner and money line. Okay. On now to the first of our 5 best bets, folks. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. No NBA best bets today because the NBA does not play on Thanksgiving. So instead, our college football best bets are going to be out at noon today. So make sure to go check that out. We've got a lot of good action this week for the final regular season week of college football. And our NFL predictions were posted yesterday. Again, Thanksgiving Day is today. 3 games, Lions, Cowboys, and then obviously the Thursday night game. So go make sure to check out that video. That'll be linked in the description down below. Okay. On to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball. I'll say it now, 5 money lines. No spreads. Now we got 5 money line picks. That's where the value, in my opinion, is at today. So let's take a look. Battle for Atlantis continues. Nothing I like right now. Okay. I don't want to touch St. Mary's v. Tech. And I guess we'll look at the championship game tomorrow. I believe that's going to involve Virginia Tech. St. Mary's, definitely not V-Tech. But we shall see. We'll see. I just don't want to touch that game today. We'll look at Atlantis probably tomorrow. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball. And we kick things off with more tournament action. This one is in the Akashir Classic. I don't think this is in the same bracket as the previous games we've seen. At least I don't think so. But it's the San Francisco Dons taking on, it's definitely not the same bracket because they just got there. San Francisco taking on Colorado. Taking the San Francisco Dons to beat the Colorado Buffaloes. San Francisco is a -120 favorite, and they should be able to win this basketball game. We've got 2 5-win teams so far, as San Francisco is 5-1, and Colorado is 5-0. I do believe San Francisco is much better than the Buffs. The Buffs have played close games with mid-majors all year long. They played a competitive game against Montana State. They played a competitive game against East Washington. That's not going to cut it. And yes, they did beat Providence, and we had them in that game to beat Providence, which is great. We took that more so because talent-wise, they were the same, and okay, we're saying games at Colorado, they should win. Neutral site now, it's in California, but it's really not that close to San Francisco. It's in Palm Springs. That is a 6-hour drive, give or take. No, from San Francisco, actually, it's a 6-hour drive from me. 7-hour drive from San Francisco. I assume they flew to Palm Springs, is what I'm getting to. And that's 7 hours, no traffic, too. If you hit LA, it's like 8.5 hours, 9 hours. Regardless of all that, though, it's probably like a 9-hour drive. I'm taking, obviously they're going to fly, so that's not even worth the point. I'm taking San Francisco to beat the Colorado Buffaloes. I think this is going to be a pretty, easy shot here for the Dons. They have lost a game this season, but they went on the road and lost to Memphis. That's a difficult game, and obviously, as we've seen in back-to-back years, the Dons just don't play well against the Tigers. They lost to them in San Francisco last season. They lost to them in Memphis this year, and there's some really good players on San Francisco. The main being Tyrone Riley, the 4th. I know this year he's kind of taken. No, he's taken a step this year. He's not, last year I believe he was the number 2 scorer last year for San Francisco. I could be wrong. I know it was Malik Thomas number 1. Oh, how could I forget about Marcus Williams? No, Tyrone Riley was the 3rd best scorer for them last year. He's still the 3rd best scorer this year, as again, Malik Thomas and Marcus Williams are both gone, as Malik Thomas now at Virginia. Marcus Williams has graduated. Again, I kind of forgot about him. Regardless, though, the leading scorer this season for San Francisco is going to be Ryan Beasley, Jr. out of San Ramon, California. Started his collegiate career at San Francisco, obviously, and still is here. Did not have as big of an impact as Tyron Riley had last year on that squad. Still averaged 9 points per game, but I mean, Riley was a starter for them last year, was a pretty established starter for them. Beasley came off the bench, and now he's their leading scorer at the 1. And then there is Mookie Cook, who is a transfer, I believe, from Oregon, right? Oregon transfer Mookie Cook, averages 13 points per game, barely played with the Ducks, but now playing, obviously, and starting at USF. I think he started the last game, if I'm not mistaken, started off the bench and now started their last game against against Minnesota. Now, Minnesota is not very good, and we will get to the Golden Gophers actually later in the video, but I do think San Francisco has enough to beat Colorado here. The Buffs play high-scoring games, but they allow teams like Eastern Washington, who's not very good, and Montana State, who's not very good, to score big-time points against them, and sure, again, they got away with it against Providence. Colorado has not left Boulder yet. Okay, and they're not playing a road game, it's not technically a road game, but you got to go to Palm Springs to take on San Francisco. They don't play their first road game until they go to Colorado State to play. They don't really play a true road game until they start Big 12 play against Arizona State. Are we dead ass? They're not playing a single road game until then? They're not going to another college campus till then. That's absurd. This team's going to get smacked in Big 12 play. Wow. Colorado, I think the most recognizable player on this team is Bengal Dak. He's not their leading scorer, but Dak, averages 12 points per game, averages 7 boards a game. I would say, again, he's the best player. I know, again, the stats don't show Dak as being their leading guy so far this year. I believe he is. I like Barrington Hargis quite a bit. Played at UCR last season in that utter cesspool of a town, or the campus is a cesspool. UC Riverside. Hargis was really good on that cesspool last year. I'm glad he got away from it. He's the starting point guard now for Colorado. Very... what's the right word to describe Barrington Hargis? Good playmaker, can finish at the rack and can attack the hoop. Not the best shooter at times. But Sebastian Ranik has been their leading scorer so far this season. He's averaging 15 points per game, sophomore out of Slovakia. Started a little bit last year for the Buffs, now really taking over as one of their primary guys. Again, it's going to be him. It's going to be Bengal Dak. It's going to be Barrington Hargis. I think San Francisco's got this one, though. Neutral site game. I don't love Colorado away from Boulder. They haven't been there all year long. And San Francisco has won games against good teams this season. Well, Minnesota, who in all fairness is not great, but I don't love the fact that Colorado gives up 1 million points and they don't really play defense. San Francisco does play defense. So I'm going to go with the Dons here to win this basketball game in Palm Springs at the Acrisure Classic. Give me San Francisco to get it done with the money line, USF -120 to beat Colorado in Palm Springs. On now to our second best bet of the video, and we go to the biggest game of the day. You saw it in the thumbnail, from Fort Myers, Florida. Let me get the exact name of this tournament. In the Fort Myers tip-off in the Beach Division, we've got the Michigan State Spartans at 6-0 taking on the 6-0 North Carolina Tar Heels. Absolutely massive game, obviously. Michigan State currently ranked 11th in the country. North Carolina ranked 16th in the country. Well, it's not going to get more simpler than this in terms of an explanation, and I'll dive into it, but I believe Michigan State's just better than North Carolina. So that's why I'm going Michigan State. I can break down the X's and O's, and I can go player by player, and I still will talk about the best players on each team. The simplest way I can say this, though, I think Michigan State's better than North Carolina. I think they are. And I'm not basing this off of last year, obviously, when North Carolina was more than disappointing. The R.J. Davis-led squad, obviously, again, they're better this year. They're ranked top 16 in the country. You lose Davis, use a couple guys, like Cadeau gone, obviously. But no, they've improved, right? Drake Powell gone as well. But they've got good players this year, right? Caleb Wilson's leading the charge, and we'll talk about Caleb Wilson in a second. He's been phenomenal this season for the Tar Heels. I just truthfully believe Michigan State's better. And that's what it comes down to. That's all it comes down to. I think Michigan State is better than North Carolina. North Carolina has a really good win. They beat Kansas. We were on the wrong side of that equation. We picked the Jayhawks to go in to North Carolina and win, and we were not correct about that. And Michigan State has not yet to play away from East Lansing this season, at least in a straight road game. And this is not a road game either, as they're going to Florida, because they did play Kentucky up in Madison Square Garden. But that's my thing about Michigan State. They have passed every test. Arkansas comes into East Lansing, Michigan State beats them. You go up to MSG to play Kentucky, they blow out the Wildcats by 17 points. Every other game that they've played, they have won. Their last game was a game against East Carolina in this, again, the Beach Division of this Fort Myers tip-off tournament, and obviously, as expected, they dominated East Carolina. Regardless, though, they should be able to get UNC. UNC's first game in this tourney was St. Bonaventure. A big shocker. These two teams are going to end up winding up and playing each other. But again, North Carolina dominates the Bonnies. You get Michigan State beating up on ECU. There's really not much we can take out of that. But I believe Michigan State's the better team. Obviously, again, this is a team that did work last year in the tournament. They were led by Jackson Kohler, but there's a lot of guys who can hurt you. Jackson Kohler averaging 15-9. Jeremy Fears, averaging 11-10. He's been great this season. Cohen Carr, again, a guy who I came into the season really hyping up because of his tournament play last year and his work off the bench last season for the Spartans. He's been great this season. The junior has really, again, he is a rim attacker. Is what I should say. He's, a very athletic dude who has very strong finish. Cohen Carr is really dominant. He is. Well, when he attacks the hoop, okay? The slams some of the slams this guy pulls off. Pretty cool. Anyways, though, I think Cohen Carr is really good. I like what Michigan State offers. Obviously, hard to bet against Tom Izzo sometimes. As for North Carolina, Caleb Wilson, right? I mean, you're going to look at the two best players on each team. It's Jackson Kohler and it's Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson, I would say, does a little bit more for North Carolina. Not to say he's particularly better than Jackson Kohler. I think he is, but it's more so, Caleb Wilson, there's not... I think the better overall team around each star is North Carolina. Is Michigan State. I think there's better supplemental pieces around Jackson Kohler. Obviously, they don't ask Jackson Kohler to do nearly as much as what Caleb Wilson is asked to do. Wilson in his freshman season is averaging 20.5 and 10.5. Yeah, he puts up double-digit boards in every single game that he plays as a freshman, true freshman. Obviously, and Caleb Wilson has NBA aspirations. He will be at that level at some point in time. I would say in a very short matter of time as well. Seth Trimble, has only played 2 games this season. I don't believe Trimble is playing this game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, completely. Yeah, no, I think he's out for a while, right? Yeah, Trimble, broken forearm, is it right? Yeah, broken forearm. He's not back this game, obviously. That's a major piece gone from North Carolina currently. Again, they're looking for, production out of like a Kylan Evans or out of a Henry Viscar, who is their center. Again, Kylan Evans has been tasked really with an extended role now with no Trimble. Again, Kylan Evans is now averaging about 30-ish minutes per game. And I know, again, he did that last year as well. That was with Colorado State, and now he's expected to, again, be really the leader of this, or I guess the guy who sets up this North Carolina offense. Don't love that, really, for the Tar Heels. I like Michigan State here. It's, again, a neutral site game in Florida. Obviously, both these teams have been down in Fort Myers for quite a bit. Michigan State's they've got players, man. They really do. Again, I like what Kohler does down low. Carson Cooper as their, official big, their center, obviously. He's been good this season, man. I mean, everything you ask out of Carson Cooper, he's able to get done. He's been with Michigan State, obviously, all 4 years. He's been part of the Izzo rotation his entire collegiate career, and he's been pretty good for Michigan State. Again, this is just a player who just does his job in there. Jeremy Fears, man, averaging 10 assists per game, 2 steals a game, and 11 points per game. Jeremy Fears is always on the court. Sophomore season for Jeremy Fears has been excellent. Obviously, started every single game for Michigan State as a redshirt freshman. Now he's starting again, obviously, as a redshirt sophomore. I like Michigan State here. Odds-wise for this one, the Spartans are minus 125. You get the Heels at plus 105. Yeah, I think this is a good spot. I think it's a really good spot for Michigan State. They should be able to win it outright here in Fort Myers. I just don't think North Carolina. I think North Carolina's. I'm not going to say they're not good. I just don't think they're ready for a game like this. Again, yes, you've beaten Kansas. Who else have you beaten this season? And sure, you can make that case so Michigan State hasn't beat many teams either. I understand. The better team, in my opinion, though, is Michigan State. I've seen them go and beat Kentucky. They beat Arkansas. I'm going to go with Michigan State to beat UNC. Give me money line for the Spartans, minus 125 from Fort Myers, Florida. On now to our third best bet of the video as we go to Santa Clara versus St. Louis. This is in Palm Springs. This is on that other side of the Acrisure Classic bracket. And I'm going to take Santa Clara plus 110. Guys, I still believe the Broncos are undervalued. And I'll be honest, I was one of the people undervaluing them early in the season. They had a matchup early in the year against the McNeese Cowboys, who obviously have been dominating their conference for years at this point. And I was like, okay, Santa Clara's going to host McNeese? Yeah, give me the Cowboys here. Santa Clara wins. And I understand the Mountain West has not been, the Mountain West we have come to expect over the last couple seasons. I understand. Santa Clara goes and beats Nevada as well. I know Nevada lost to UC Davis, but still, Santa Clara picks up a big victory there. I mean, they've won every game that they've been, tasked with so far. They're a 6-0 team. They beat Humboldt in their first game. I didn't know Humboldt State still had basketball because they cut their football program decades ago. They beat McNeese. How about going to Xavier and beating the Musketeers? What will Xavier be in the Big East this season? Probably nothing that special. But how about that win for that team? Xavier, I know WVU, with no Darian and Tucker DeVries leaving, that's not a very great team, but Xavier just beat West Virginia, and Santa Clara goes to Cincinnati and beats that team by 19 points. I think it's time we start really taking Santa Clara seriously. And if they keep playing the way that they're playing, I understand this is far-fetched. Could we be looking at a 3-bid West Coast Conference? St. Mary's, Santa Clara, Gonzaga. Could we be looking at that this year? I don't know. San Francisco, regardless of how well they're playing, they're not going to find their way to an at-large, I don't think. And, I think they're going to win today. We obviously have them to beat Colorado. I don't think they're going to end. I don't think, with what the conference play had in the West Coast, I don't think that they can find themselves into without winning, obviously, the West Coast Conference. I think legitimately, though, regardless of who wins the West Coast, I still believe it's going to be the Gales of St. Mary's. But Santa Clara and Gonzaga, I think, are both going to get at-larges into the tournament. I think so. The way Santa Clara is playing right now, they have passed every test. You go to Xavier, you beat a Big East team. You beat a Mountain West squad in Nevada. The rest of their non-con schedule, I don't mind them going to Albuquerque and right now and going to the pit and beating New Mexico. It might sound crazy. I don't really mind that matchup at all for them. They play Arizona State. That's a neutral site game. That's in the Jack Jones Classic in Vegas. I don't think that's that tough of a matchup. I get it. Odom and those guys are playing really well. I think they can win that game. That's really all they have left. And if they can beat St. Louis here, another big victory to get. The Billikens are 5-0. Out of the A10 conference, they're 5-0. Their victories aren't that good, though. Except for one, and I will say there's one that's really good. It's Grand Canyon. Now, how good is Grand Canyon really, though? That's my thing. Yeah, they beat Utah the other night. That's the reason we did pick against them in the first place. Grand Canyon guys scored 46 points yesterday against Iowa. The team can't shoot. They're a very good interior present squad. They can really finish at the rack. They can attack the rack. I get it. They're not that good of a shooting team. So I don't really know how to treat a Grand Canyon victory. St. Louis's wins, guys, are Southeastern Missouri, Chicago State, where, guys, they let Chicago State score 86 points on them. And yeah, the Billikens scored 108, but really? You're a 30.5-point favorite, and you let Chicago State score 86 points. I don't love that. Lindenwood, they dominate. Grand Canyon, and then Purdue Fort Wayne. It's not really a great win on there. Santa Clara has beaten Xavier on the road. They've beaten McNeese, who's a really good mid-major. One of the best mid-majors every single season are the McNeese Cowboys, and Santa Clara handles them by 12 points at the Levy Center. Nevada, they beat them by 15 points. And they beat Idaho State in their last game. They beat the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana handedly. They beat the Raging Cajuns 80-43. My goodness. I like this team quite a bit. And they found ways now to make up for the fact that Adama Alpha Ball is gone. I think he's playing ball overseas. But no Adama Alpha Ball. Christoph Tilley's playing at Ohio State, and he's doing a fairly good job at Ohio. A really good job at Ohio State right now. Christoph Tilley was a monster last year. I got to go to multiple Santa Clara games to watch Christoph Tilley. That dude was amazing last year for Santa Clara. He dominated the West Coast League, except for when he played St. Mary's. But whatever. And Zaga. But he's gone too. Elijah Mahi's back this year. Christian Hammond has been a huge part of the offense this season. The sophomore out of Denver is averaging 17 points per game. He was a bench player last year for the Broncos. He is now fully taken over in the primary scoring role. And then how about Bucky Obwe? I think I got that name right. 7'1" sophomore from Houston, Texas. Again, that is your Christoph Tilley replacement. Is he as good of a scorer as Tilley is? Not entirely. He did score 22 points against Nevada. But again, Santa Clara recruits very well. Bucky was just sitting on their bench last year and played sparingly. But that's the thing. They just have guys. Santa Clara recruits very well. Obviously, former NBA MVP and Steve Nash. They have a big, poster of him, or big banner of him in the gym or in the arena, if you can call it that. It holds like 1,000 people, but it's okay. Santa Clara games are fun. This is a program that they build players up, man. They have a really good roster year in and year out. Don't get me wrong, St. Louis is pretty good too. I like what they've been doing. Obviously, Robbie Avila, the former Indiana State Sycamore, follows his coach over to St. Louis. I understand. Amari McCautry's been really good for this team as well. I believe McCautry's a sophomore, I think. Is he a sophomore? Yeah. Sophomore in Milwaukee. Started at St. Louis obviously last year, or played at St. Louis, now officially starting for this team. They've got guys. McCautry averaging 15 points per game. Avila is averaging 13.5. I feel like Avila, is this guy not like, I guess this is his fourth year. I just thought he was been in college for longer. And then Deion Brown also scored 21 points in the Purdue Fort Wayne game. He's averaging 13 this season. Started at UMBC, then went to Boston College and started at BC, and now got an expanded role here at St. Louis. Anyways, I'm taking Santa Clara. Taking Santa Clara, guys. The books still don't value Santa Clara properly. If this game was at St. Louis, okay, I understand this. Like, this is the line I would expect for Santa Clara at St. Louis in Missouri. I'd say, oh, okay, yeah, Santa Clara plus 105, that makes sense. Neutral site game? No shot. Give me Santa Clara to win. This is absolutely Santa Clara should win this basketball game. Again, I'm telling you, there is just so much talent on this team. They are so difficult to deal with. I'm going to go with the Broncos here to win this basketball game over in the Acrisure Classic again in Palm Springs, California. Give me the Santa Clara Broncos to win plus 105 against the St. Louis Billikens. On now to our fourth best bet of the video as we go to another pretty big game between the Dayton Flyers and the Georgetown Hoyas from Kissimmee, Florida, I think. And this is in the, let me get this right, the Terry's Chocolate ESPN Events Invitational in the Magic Bracket. This is at Disney, isn't it? Wait, this I'm pretty sure this is at Disneyland, right? Yeah, oh, this is where, okay, this is the bubble. Okay, now I know where we are. Okay, this is, I believe, the NBA bubble arena, I think, or one of the arenas used for the NBA bubble. I could be wrong here, but I know this is on the Disney campus near Orlando. The undefeated Georgetown Hoyas take on the Dayton Flyers. Here's another case of, I don't think the books have adjusted yet on Georgetown. I don't think so. Guys, Georgetown's really good this season. And we've gone to Georgetown multiple times this year, and they've been tested against good teams. Guys, they go to Maryland. I understand it's not a long trip for the Hoyas, but they go to Maryland and beat the Terrapins. And I get it. Maryland and Miles Rice have trouble sometimes scoring. I get it. But still, Georgetown goes to Maryland and wins that game. How about a win at home against Clemson over at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C.? It is a 5-0 Georgetown team. I'm telling you, Georgetown Hoyas basketball this season, it's back. They're going to lose one non-con game. It's going to be at UNC. That's it. They're going to go to Marquette and win to start off Big East play. It's going to be a huge win for them. I'm telling you right now, Georgetown Hoyas basketball is officially back. I've been on that since the start of the year. The Hoyas are back this year. And yes, you lost Thomas Sorber, who was a top 15 pick he's a top 30 pick in the NBA draft. I understand. You lose Sorber, he's out for the year this year for OKC. How about KJ Lewis? How about KJ Lewis, man? 11 points per game scorer last year at Arizona. Came off the bench for the most of the part last year for the Wildcats. Now starting for Georgetown, averaging 17 points per game. He has been absolutely massive this year. Guys, this line should say minus 170 for the Hoyas. And again, I don't love just going straight minus 140. But if we're given an opportunity like this with a game that should really favor, in my opinion, Georgetown, absolutely we're over it. KJ Lewis has been phenomenal this year for Georgetown. How about Malik Mack, who's averaging 15 points a game for this team as well? Junior guard for this team, was at Georgetown last year, made his name in the Ivy League at Harvard. Yes, you have players transferring out of Harvard and Princeton this day. Unfortunately for Xavier Lee, it has not gone very well for him, transferring out from Princeton to Florida, but whatever. Anyways, Malik Mack had a pretty good last season. He's been even better this year. They've got guys with the Hoyas this year, man. It is an all-around very good team. They can score points. Their victories against Clemson and Maryland have been huge. Their other wins, and in all fairness, they're not the biggest wins. Morgan State, Binghamton, Wagner. Okay, but they win. They're 5-0. And it's been a lot of Malik Mack, and it's been a lot of KJ Lewis. As for their opponents tonight, the Dayton Flyers out of the A-10. Dayton's a 5-1 team. Their biggest victory is winning at Marquette. Okay, a lot of teams have been able to beat Marquette this season. 3, that's just more than you would think at this point of the year for the Flyers. Or not for the Flyers, for the Golden Eagles. Obviously, Indiana just does it differently, okay? Like, yeah, Marquette's lost a couple times this year. They haven't lost like they did against the Hoosiers, though. So, just saying. Indiana still undefeated. Big win over K-State the other day. The Hoosiers. So back, man. Indiana basketball is back. Darian DeVries, Tucker DeVries. Indiana basketball is back just like the football program. But anyways, Marquette gets blown out by Indiana because, of course, the Hoosiers are just back. And then losses by 7 points to Marquette and a 6-point loss to Marquette loses to Maryland and then a 6-point loss to the Dayton Flyers. Again, beating Marquette's not that impressive. Yeah, going on the road is. I will say that. Like, again, that was a surprising outcome. That was a surprising result that Dayton was able to go on the road and win. They were plus 210 dogs. They were plus 6.5, again, point underdogs in that game entirely, and they won in overtime. So good on Dayton. That's their only good victory this year. Look at their other games, guys. I mean, I get it. Bethune-Cookman, one of the better teams out of the SWAC, but you beat Bethune-Cookman by 9 points. Beat Canisius by 40. Beat UMBC by 6. Went to Cincinnati. Lost to the Bearcats. Last game beat North Carolina Central. Obviously, you beat North Carolina Central by 19 points. Not sold. Teams led by Javon Bennett and Deshane Montgomery. These are their 2 leading scorers. Bennett averaging 17 points per game. Very undersized point guard, but he still, again, finds ways to score. This is a guy who, again, is pretty He's very inconsistent from the three-point line from what I have seen out of Javon Bennett. He'll shoot quite a bit of three-pointers, and he just doesn't hit them. He's a 26% three-point, 27% three-point shooter this season. He still averages 17. Last game he scored 8, though, if I'm not mistaken. And then Deshane Montgomery is their 2-guard. He's been the more consistent scorer recently, averaging 15 points per game. I would say Montgomery's the guy to watch out for. Started his collegiate career at Mount St. Mary's a couple years ago. Played for the Georgia Bulldogs last year, came off the bench, and now he's finally in a starting role again with Dayton. Actually, didn't even really start at Mount St. Mary's, where he averaged 13 points. But, I mean, I guess it advanced his career to go to Georgia. Now he's playing at Dayton and starting at Dayton. Other than that, not really too many other players to really look out for. Amel Letang has been pretty big for them this year. Sophomore out of France. 7'1", he's like a stick. He's skinny. 7'1", he weighs like 200 pounds from France. I guess maybe just like, are they all just built like that in France? Like Wembanyama? I don't know. But Letang hasn't been bad. He's averaging 7 boards and 13 points per game. Obviously, they're starting center. Not too concerned. I mean, Georgetown's got interior presence, so it's really not that big of a factor for me. Again, I don't mind what Georgia has down low in Vince Ichukwu, a 7'1" center from Nigeria. I'd argue he's probably better than Letang. I don't know. Again, Ichukwu, averaging 12 points per game, put up 14 in the Clemson game. Not sure if he's playing in this one because he did not play the Wagner game, so I'm not completely sure about that. But it's been 2 weeks since they played Clemson. Georgetown just doesn't schedule that many games right now in this point of the year, which I don't know why. But hopefully Vince plays, because if he does, he's been absolutely massive for them this year. This is the guy who started at USC, played for the Johnnies last year, didn't get too much run with St. John's, and now here at Georgetown. I'm going with the Hoyas here, minus 140. Again, if I were to set a line for this game, it would be like minus 175 for the Hoyas. So that's why immediately I went, okay, I like this one a lot. So I'm going to go Georgetown to get this one done. Again, neutral site game. This one is being played basically on the Disney campus in Disney World. I'm taking the Hoyas to get this one done. Give me minus 140 for Georgetown to go out there and beat the Dayton Flyers. On to our final best bet of the video. Let's go back to the Akascure Classic, as we've got the Stanford Cardinal taking on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Give me Stanford. Here's another example of bad Minnesota Golden Gophers basketball. They were bad last year. Dawson Knox put the team on his back. They're worse this season. Minnesota's a 4-2 team, and on paper it doesn't look that bad. Look at the actual games against semi-competent teams that they have played. Missouri, 23-point loss on the road. That was my fault for taking Minnesota. That was bad. San Francisco in their last game, 12-point loss to the Dons. Their wins, you beat Gardner-Webb. And we went over this before the San Francisco game. But guys, let's go over real quickly again the records of the teams that they have beaten. Because it was bad when they played San Francisco. It's still bad. And Green Bay's kind of bailing them out a little bit. But hold on here. Minnesota's got 4 wins this season, okay? Gardner-Webb, they beat 87-60. Gardner-Webb's an 0-7 team. Alcorn State, who they beat 95-50, is an 0-7 team out of the SWAC. Green Bay was 1-5. They were 1-5 until a couple days ago. But Green Bay played Minnesota into an overtime game. The Green Bay Phoenix, who struggled to beat D2 teams last year, lost to D2 schools last year. The Green Bay Phoenix almost beat Minnesota. Minnesota had to take them to overtime. Minnesota won in overtime. And yes, Green Bay has won back-to-back games against UMass and Iona over in the, oh goodness. Are they in the Bahamas right now? I think they are. Are they in the Bahamas? Oh, in the Virgin Islands. They just finished in the Virgin Islands. Anyways, regardless, Green Bay's 3-5. They were 1-5, but sure, we'll give them that. You beat a 3-5 team. And then Minnesota beat Chicago State, who's now 0-7. So the combined records of the 3 teams they have beaten this season, drum roll, please, is 3-27. 3-26. I did my math wrong. Oh my goodness. That's why I did the drum roll, because I was still computing that. I'm not going to lie. 3-26 of the teams that they have beaten this season. The 2 competent teams they play, San Francisco and Missouri, they are not competitive. I'm not telling you Stanford's going to blow them out, but what I am saying is Stanford's going to win. And by the way, again, this is a warm-up for Minnesota before they play the Hoosiers on December 3rd. So, just saying. Indiana's going to maul that team in Minnesota. I can't wait. The Hoosiers are ranked too. Oh my goodness. Minnesota starts Big Ten play with Indiana and Purdue. They got to go to Mackey for their second game. Ugh. Anyways, Stanford should beat this team. I'm not too impressed by the Cardinal. I will say this. They did lose to Seattle University in their last game. Seattle U's not bad, though. I don't know. They did lose a game to Cal Poly where the Mustangs just shot lights out in the second half and came back. I actually don't think Seattle University is that horrible. Again, the West Coast is just a gauntlet this year, man. I mean, we talked about Santa Clara being really good. Gonzaga, obviously, and St. Mary's are always good. And then, okay, Loyola Marymount's playing good basketball this year. I know they lost to FAU recently, but that's a good team. USF's good. Seattle U's really good this year. Pacific hasn't been bad. Portland put belt to ass on Long Beach yesterday. Some really good teams in the West Coast this year. I know Wazoo and Oregon State are there too, but they suck now. So there's to the Pac-10 next year. Anyways, Stanford losing to Seattle U on paper sucks, but don't forget, like, Washington lost to Seattle U last year as well. Seattle U is a really tricky team. They're building a very good program over there, and going to the West Coast has only helped them. Ibuka Okori has been the leading scorer this year for the Cardinal. He's been excellent, man. Freshman at Nashua, New Hampshire, averaging 24 points per game this season for the Cardinal. He's been their primary guy. He's been really good in his freshman year. Obviously, Chisholm Akpara is back from last year. Akpara, now in his senior year, started at Harvard, then went to Stanford. You see, that's one of the transfers that actually makes sense. You know, nothing against Xavier Lee, but, like, dude, you go from Princeton to Florida. Like, you worked 3 years at Princeton, and sure, again, NBA career, I understand, which I don't know if I don't think he's going to go to the NBA now. But you worked 3 years at Princeton to get your degree at Florida? See, Chisholm Akpara going from Harvard to Stanford, see, that makes sense. But anyways, Akpara averaging 16 points per game. He was good last year. He was all right last year. He's been better this season in the starting role. Benny Gieler looks like he's 28, but he's still in college, averaging 10 points per game. Obviously, the team's still kind of missing Maxime Reynaud, who's now with the Sacramento Kings, but it's an all-around good lineup. Again, I like what this team has. A little surprised with the decrease in minutes for Ryan Argerwall. That's kind of shocking to me. Argerwall was really good off the bench for them last year. He doesn't really get on the court anymore. He plays like 14 minutes a game. He started most of the games last year for the Cardinal, and now he doesn't play. Argerwall, really good shooter, plays that 2-ish 3-guard combo. I don't know why he doesn't play, but whatever. He's not hurt. He's playing, but I don't know. Doesn't get much run. Minnesota's not good. You know, Cade Tyson's doing everything. Jalen Crocker-Johnson averages 12, but it's primarily, again, how much can Cade Tyson put this team on his back. We went over Tyson a couple days ago when we were talking about Minnesota taking it on USF, but this is a guy who played big minutes at Belmont, averaged 16 points per game at Belmont, went to UNC last season, barely got any run, averaged 8 minutes a game and 2 points per game, so for the right reasons, obviously transferred to Minnesota to be a Golden Gopher, and he's averaged 22 points per game so far this season for Minnesota in 33 minutes. Again, that workload, obviously, 100% up, obviously, since the UNC year last year. Jalen Crocker-Johnson does a lot of his work on the glass. He averages 10.5 rebounds per game and 12 points per game. Those are your two best guys on Minnesota, but, Crocker-Johnson can kind of score, but honestly, beyond just Cade Tyson, there's not many scorers on this team. I mean, they needed Langston Reynolds to step up in their last game. He averages 10 a night, senior guard out of Denver, Colorado. He put up 16 points, which led their team in scoring against USF last week. And this is a player who played at Northern Colorado for a couple years, but I'm not impressed with anything Minnesota does. And I understand Stanford just lost to Seattle U, but it's not a bad Seattle U team. Yeah, it's a mid-major team. They're a WCC team, but don't look now. The WCC is giving everyone trouble right now. So I like Stanford in the spot. Neutral site game in Palm Springs. But let's also say this too. It's a late night spot. This game doesn't start till 9:30 Minnesota time. 8:30. Okay, whatever. Still though, Minnesota's coming all the way up from the very northmost point of America down now to the desert in very southern California. Yeah, I'm going to take Stanford. This feels like a Stanford victory here. I'm going to go with the Cardinal to win this basketball game here at -125. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here for Thanksgiving. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do just great thing in the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.